Self-respect is the starting point of everything because the way you treat yourself sets the example for how the world treats you. When you recognize your value and honor it, you're teaching people around you how they should approach you, how they should speak to you, and how they should treat you. Without self-respect, it becomes easy to fall into situations where you're overlooked, undervalued, or even mistreated because you haven't established the bar for what is acceptable. Respect is not something you demand loudly. It's something you embody through your actions, your choices, and the standards you refuse to compromise. Think about the times when you allowed behavior you knew was beneath you. Maybe you accepted words that cut too deep, excuses that didn't line up, or promises that kept breaking. Every time you allow it, you reinforce it. Self-respect is choosing to stop that cycle. It's refusing to stay in a space where you have to beg for basic decency. It's knowing you don't have to explain why something crosses the line. The simple fact that it does is enough. That quiet firmness, that calm refusal, that's what sets you apart as someone high value. Respecting yourself also shows up in the small, everyday decisions. It's in the way you carry yourself into a room, not apologizing for existing, not shrinking because someone else might feel threatened by your presence. It's in the way you take care of your health, your time, your goals, and your energy. It's waking up and deciding your life isn't just something that happens to you, but something you build intentionally. When you start making choices that honor your worth, you attract people and opportunities that mirror that same respect back to you. Self-respect also means you don't chase what doesn't serve you. You're not running after attention, validation, or approval because you already know where you stand. You don't need to convince someone of your value. You live it. You don't beg someone to stay. You let them go if they can't see what's in front of them. You don't settle for half-hearted effort because you're not offering half of yourself. That shift changes everything because people realize quickly they can't play games with someone who knows their worth. There's also a discipline to self-respect. It's not just about rejecting what's wrong, it's about committing to what's right. That means saying no to habits that drain you and yes to routines that strengthen you. It's guarding your time instead of giving it away to people who don't appreciate it. It's holding yourself accountable for the choices you make, because respecting yourself also means being honest with yourself. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. If you set a boundary, enforce it. If you know better, do better. That's how trust is built within yourself, and that trust is what fuels real confidence. When you respect yourself, you stop negotiating your value. You stop lowering the price tag on your peace just to keep someone else comfortable. You stop apologizing for taking up space, for having standards, or for expecting decency. And in doing so, you shift the way people interact with you. The ones who don't respect themselves will fall away, but the ones who do will step closer because they recognize strength when they see it. Self-respect doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It means you refuse to think you're less. It means you hold steady when someone tries to shake your sense of worth because that foundation isn't built on their opinion. It's built on your decision. Emotional control is one of the strongest signs of a high-value woman because it shows she is anchored no matter what storms are happening around her. Anyone can react in the heat of the moment. Anyone can lash out when they feel triggered, but not everyone can stay composed, calm, and steady. When you have emotional control, people learn they can trust you. They know you won't fall apart over every little thing. You won't create chaos out of frustration, and you won't let emotions dictate decisions that should be guided by wisdom. That kind of presence is rare, and it is powerful. When someone says something offensive or tries to test you, the immediate urge might be to snap back, defend yourself, or let anger take over. But emotional control means you take that pause before responding. You measure your words. You recognize that your reaction says more about you than their insult ever could. This doesn't mean you stay silent or tolerate disrespect. It means you respond with intention instead of reaction. People quickly realize they can't pull you into drama, and that distance you create between their behavior and your response shows strength that cannot be faked. Emotional control also shows up in relationships. There are moments when emotions run high, when arguments escalate, when misunderstandings create tension. A woman with emotional control doesn't use manipulation, shouting, or threats to prove her point. She listens, she speaks with clarity, and she communicates with firmness. That composure doesn't weaken her stance, it strengthens it. Because when emotions are flying everywhere, the person who stays calm becomes the anchor in the storm. People naturally gravitate to that kind of stability, and it elevates the way they see you. There is also an internal side to emotional control. It's not only about what you show others, but how you manage the feelings within yourself. Stress, disappointment, and fear are real, but emotional control means you don't let them consume you. You process them, you handle them, and you move forward without allowing those emotions to define your choices. It's not about ignoring your feelings, it's about managing them so they serve you rather than sabotage you. When you practice this, you carry yourself with a quiet confidence that people respect without even understanding why. Think about how many mistakes are made in a moment of anger, how many regrets are born out of impatience, how many opportunities are lost because someone couldn't hold their tongue. Emotional control saves you from that. It allows you to protect your peace even when the world is pushing every button you have. It lets you walk away from arguments that aren't worth your energy, and it keeps you from saying or doing things that compromise your integrity. The ability to stay composed is not weakness, it's mastery. It's what emotional control does over time is it builds consistency. People know what they can expect from you because you're not unpredictable. You don't one day explode and the next day apologize. You're steady. That reliability makes you someone others can count on in personal relationships, at work, and in leadership roles. It also protects your own mental health because you're not constantly living in reaction mode. You're living in choice, and that control gives you freedom. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that you control, doors that only open when it is healthy and safe for you. A high-value woman understands that her worth is protected by the boundaries she sets. Without them, people will take advantage of her time, her energy, and her kindness until there is nothing left to give. Boundaries are not selfish, they are necessary. They tell the world what is acceptable and what is not, and they teach people how to treat you by showing them where the line is drawn. It often starts with small things. The friend who only calls when they need something. The colleague who piles work onto your desk because they know you won't say no. The partner who ignores your feelings because you always let it slide. Every time you allow it, the boundary weakens. Every time you let it pass, you send a message that your peace doesn't matter. A high-value woman doesn't allow that pattern to continue. She knows her energy is limited, her time is valuable, and her self-worth is not up for negotiation. Boundaries are also about clarity. They don't require long explanations or justifications. They are simple and direct. When you say no, it is complete. When you say this doesn't work for me, you mean it. People may push back, they may test those limits, but that is exactly why boundaries exist. They reveal who respects you and who only benefits from you when you're giving endlessly. Setting boundaries might upset some people, but the ones worth keeping will honor them because they understand. They are not about shutting people out. They are about protecting the relationship from resentment and burnout. There is strength in not over-explaining yourself. A high-value woman doesn't beg others to understand her boundaries. She communicates them calmly and consistently, and then she enforces them. That enforcement is what gives them weight. It's not about what you say, it's about what you follow through on. If someone keeps crossing a line and you allow it, then it's no longer a boundary, it's just a suggestion. Respect comes when you hold steady and show that you mean what you say, even if it costs you certain people in your life. Boundaries also create balance. They give you the space to nurture your own needs, your goals, and your peace of mind without being drained by the constant demands of others. They help you separate what is yours to carry and what belongs to someone else. You are not responsible for fixing everyone's problems, for managing everyone's emotions, or for making sure everyone is comfortable at the expense of yourself. A high-value woman knows that if she is always giving without limit, she will eventually lose herself. Boundaries prevent that loss. It takes courage to set boundaries because it often means confronting fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. But the truth is that boundaries don't push the right people away. They filter them in. They attract those who value you, those who respect your no as much as your yes, and those who see your strength as something to admire rather than to exploit. That filtering process might feel uncomfortable at first, but it is what builds a life surrounded by people who truly honor your worth. Confidence without arrogance is one of the clearest signs of a woman who knows her worth. True confidence doesn't need to announce itself loudly or demand recognition. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about walking into a room with calm assurance that you belong there, not because you think you are better than anyone else, but because you refuse to believe you are less. Confidence whispers while arrogance shouts, and people can feel the difference the moment you open your mouth or the way you carry yourself. A high-value woman doesn't have to overcompensate with arrogance because her confidence is rooted in self-awareness. She knows her strengths, but she also acknowledges her weaknesses. She doesn't deny them or pretend they don't exist. She accepts them as part of who she is while working to grow. That balance creates authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. Arrogance, on the other hand, is usually insecurity dressed up in loudness. It pushes people away, while quiet confidence draws them in because it feels real and steady. Confidence also shows in the way you treat others. When you are secure in yourself, you don't need to belittle or compete to feel valuable. You can celebrate someone else's success without feeling like it takes anything away from you. You can compliment without comparison, support without envy, and stand tall without stepping on anyone else. That's the kind of confidence that makes people respect you, because it comes from a place of abundance instead of lack. Arrogance craves the spotlight, but confidence creates its own light without even trying. In daily life, confidence without arrogance means you trust your decisions. You don't second-guess yourself endlessly or look for constant validation. You gather the facts, listen to your intuition, and make choices that align with your values. And once you make those choices, you own them. Even if you fail, you learn. And that willingness to stand behind yourself is what makes others trust you too. Arrogance blames others when things go wrong, but confidence takes responsibility and uses failure as fuel for growth. This kind of confidence is also visible in how you carry your body, how you speak, and how you show up. You don't rush your words because you're not afraid of silence. You don't shrink your posture to take up less space because you know you deserve to stand tall. You don't exaggerate stories to seem impressive because you are enough as you are. Confidence without arrogance is steady, it is graceful, and it is unmistakable. It's not about making others believe in you, it's about showing that you already believe in yourself, and that's what makes the biggest difference. Growth over validation is the mindset that separates a high-value woman from someone who is constantly seeking approval. When validation is the goal, every action becomes about how others perceive you, whether they approve, whether they applaud. But when growth is the goal, the focus shifts inward. It becomes less about being liked and more about becoming better. A high-value woman understands that validation is fleeting, but growth is lasting. She is not interested in temporary applause. She is interested in permanent progress. Choosing growth over validation means being willing to make mistakes and learn from them rather than avoiding risks just to protect an image. It means trying new things, stepping outside of comfort zones, and facing challenges head-on without worrying about how it looks to others. The applause might not come, the recognition might not show up, but the development within her is what matters most. Growth is sometimes quiet, sometimes uncomfortable, but it always leads to strength that validation could never provide. It also changes the way she handles relationships. Instead of asking, do they like me? She asks, am I staying true to myself? Am I learning? Am I moving forward? That shift keeps her from chasing people's approval. She doesn't bend her values to fit in. She doesn't silence her voice to keep peace, and she doesn't compromise her standards just to be accepted. Validation may feel good for a moment, but it often comes with strings attached. Growth may be harder, but it builds a foundation that no one else can take away. When growth is the focus, she doesn't fear being misunderstood. She knows that some people will not see her vision, some will not understand her journey, and some will even criticize her choices. But she doesn't let that stop her because her progress is not up for debate. She is not living for applause. She is living for alignment. That mindset gives her freedom because she is no longer bound by what others think she should be. She is committed to who she knows she can become. Presence and authenticity are qualities that people feel even before you speak. When a woman is truly present, she's not distracted, she's not lost in comparison, she's not trying to be somewhere else. She is grounded in the moment, and that grounding gives her a natural strength that draws others in. Authenticity adds to that presence because it shows she isn't wearing a mask or trying to impress. She's showing up as herself, and that honesty is rare enough to be magnetic. People can sense when someone is being genuine, and it makes them want to listen, trust, and connect. Being present means you don't have to fight for attention because your attention is already powerful. When you're fully engaged in a conversation, when you look someone in the eye and actually hear what they're saying, it makes them feel valued. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's not about saying the perfect thing, it's about being fully there. A high-value woman understands that her energy is part of her influence, and she chooses to give it in ways that matter. Authenticity shows up in the courage to be consistent. It's easy to put on a polished version of yourself to be accepted, but real strength is staying the same whether you're in a crowd, at work, or alone. It's not about being flawless, it's about being real. And being real is powerful because it gives permission for others to do the same. Instead of following trends or trying to meet everyone's expectations, an authentic woman leads by example. She makes choices that align with who she is, not who others want her to be. Or two, presence and authenticity together create influence without effort. You don't have to perform to be noticed. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not, and you don't have to chase approval. People are naturally drawn to what feels real, and they remember the way you made them feel when you were fully there. That impact lasts far longer than any act you could put on. When a woman carries herself with presence and lives with authenticity, she doesn't just enter a room, she shifts the energy of it, not by force, but by simply being herself.